Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Ray J's World. I'm Ray J, of course, and today we're going to cover some stories from what was posted to my my website, rayjsworld.com. Anyways, hold on a sec. I gotta figure things out here, but that's okay. Let me start that first of all. Next, let me start with our first story here. Let me do share screen. Okay. Okay, now I've got this in here. So we'll look that over as soon as I go into the comments. No one's commenting so far yet, so let's look at this this story. Nerderotic breaks down the rumored wokeness and mature content in Amazon's Lord of the Rings series. If you're a Tolkien fan, be prepared for stupid woke crap from the House of Bezos. As a fan of both Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel, and DC, I know the fans of Tolkien. This is pretty much what I said on my my blog post. But pretty much I believe that thanks to Amazon, Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien will be rolling around in his grave. But the one thing I want to do here is play what Nerderotic said about it.
But do not trust the hope that has forsaken these lands.
Hell yes.
Nerderotic.com.
Subversion, the undermining of the power and authority of an established system, institution, or a classic story that's so beloved it has scholars and it's considered sacred text to its fandom. In July of 2017, the Tolkien estate settled a lawsuit between Warner Brothers and MGM, allowing them to shop around a Lord of the Rings TV show.
Which means, of course, that includes Weta cannot touch it because of that lawsuit.
September of 2017, Jeff Bezos of Amazon announced he wanted his Game of Thrones.
Of course he did.
On November 13, 2017, Amazon acquired the rights to The Lord of the Rings. That was 1,529 days ago, and since then, we've received a teaser, a single image, and today, another teaser.
Yep. Amazon, Jeff Bezos is just farting. That's all.
Also, within those 1,529 days, there have been a lot, and I mean a lot, of red flags, including Jeff Bezos stating he wanted his own Game of Thrones when Game of Thrones already exists. Incidentally, within those 1,529 days, Game of Thrones managed to announce 5 prequels.
Yep. HBO is having their fun with their Game of Thrones, and of course, Netflix is trying to do that with The Witcher, and it looks like Amazon wants to do that with Lord of the Rings.
Destroy the series with a disastrous season 8. Cancel the 5 prequels, including one they had in production, wasting $30 million. Announce more prequels.
Surprisingly, yeah, I don't watch Game of Thrones, but this is getting a little ridiculous.
One into production called The House of the Dragon, and they may have completed it before the completion of Lord of the Rings. But I have to admit, George R. Martin did subvert one of the greatest tropes of Tolkien, ending the story. And the red.
Yep. before HBO had a chance to end it themselves.
Red flags aside from Jeff Bezos saying he wanted his Game of Thrones and then acquiring the rights to Lord of the Rings, hiring J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, Opie and Opie, both formerly of Bad Reboot.
Oh no. Oh no. Here comes woke crap.
A company well known for destroying beloved franchises.
No duh.
Rumors of nudity and the hiring of an intimacy coordinator.
That's why I say if you want to watch it, you're going to have to do VidAngel. If you want to watch Lord of the Rings.
Prioritizing inclusivity, diversity, and representation. Adapting the source material of essentially a history book with no plot, characterization, or dialogue.
What the heck, Amazon?
Rumors of modern themes being infused in what Tolkien wanted to be a mythology for England. Yes, lots of rumors. And man, I haven't told you the half of it. I have.
No duh. I totally get what you're saying, Gary.
Been emailed quite a bit since my Lord of the Rings videos from last year, and I usually don't run with rumors, but I'll give you this one. Emailed to me by a random stranger who I've never met, who says he watches my channel, says he is working on this peripherally, somehow has stated that there will be LGBTQ plus representation in Lord of the Rings.
Hello. Bounding into Comics is already reporting on this, surprisingly enough. And it's not just Gary from Neurotic that's reporting it.
On Prime.
Here we go again.
Additionally, according to my good friend Az from Heel versus Babyface, who has seen the upcoming trailer, who said to me he couldn't tell you what the story's about, but he can tell you it's going to be diverse. But what we do know is the title, which is now officially called The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power.
Woke, 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 woke.
Hashtag Lotrop or Lotterop or LOTRROP. Now I'd like to thank Lady
Hello, wokeness coming into Lord of the Rings. Hello.
Great Master for giving me the information on this right when it dropped at about 7 o'clock in the morning. I went and watched the 1-minute teaser trailer and immediately I wasn't impressed. My very first reaction was, this looks like the kind of trailer you would see for a game that you play on your phone. To be fair, later on, I watched the making of video, which was far superior than the end product because
Wow.
this was all done with real carved wood, and they poured, I guess, real metal into that and had real water pouring over it, and it still looked terrible, which probably had something to do with the extremely high frame rate of the camera. Still, this could be some ominous foreshadowing for the Rings of Power.
Hello, streaming.
You can put all the money you want into a production. You can have the best special effects. They can be all practical. You can have the best sets, the best costuming. But if you don't stay true to the story, to the foundation of Tolkien's world.
And of course, J.R.R. Tolkien, thanks to wokeness, will be rolling in his grave.
It'll still just look like a cheap product in the end.
Not surprised.
I'm sure a trailer isn't that far behind, but I have a radical idea. Why didn't you just release that? As a matter of fact, why haven't we had 3 by now? Where are all the production stills? Well, I have a theory about this. It took Amazon a long time to get the production going on this.
No duh. Amazon wants to take as much time as they can to make sure it looks as great as possible. It doesn't look good.
And coincidentally, it started ramping up right around the time Christopher Tolkien died. One of the greatest sons who's...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because the moment he died, they could easily put the woke crap in it.
Ever lived, guarding his father's legacy to his dying breath. Unfortunately, he couldn't live forever, and I think all bets are off now. I'm guessing we're going to see a Lord of the Rings that looks a lot like the Netflix adaptation meme, and if Amazon up Lord of the Rings, they're going to have their own. And just a quick
No duh.
reminder, Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings first teaser trailer came out in April of 2000, a full year and a half before Fellowship of the Ring came out. We did learn one additional detail about the series in the lengthy press release from Amazon Prime. Prime Video's most anticipated new series of 2022 reveals its title, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Doesn't exactly roll off the tongue.
Wow, Amazon. That is so great of you.
The title treatment is unveiled in live action splendor. Watch as the title is forged from real molten metal, running like fiery rivers through the hand-carved wooden ravines to craft its silvery letter forms. Culver City, California, January 9th.
What the heck?
19th, 2022, Prime Video, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power officially has a name, and it hints at what's to come. The television series' complete title was unveiled today, and the significance behind the subtitle will not be lost on J.R.R. Tolkien fans.
And the J.R.R. Tolkien himself will be rolling in his grave the moment he finds out what they're doing with his baby.
Foreshadowing an epic story that welds the major events of Tolkien's Second Age together, the forging of the iconic rings. The multi-series drama, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, will premiere exclusively on Prime Video in more than 240 countries and territories around the world in multiple languages on Friday, September 2nd, with new episodes available weekly. You know what else isn't going to be lost on J.R.R. Tolkien fans? You are premiering the series on the date he died.
What the? Hello? Are you kidding me? What the heck? Are you really trying to drive idiocy around here? What the heck is going on?
Oi, you, mate, and off.
So what's that addition?
I don't blame you, J.R.R. Tolkien.
Additional information? Well, it takes place thousands of years before The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, something we already pretty much knew. So there are
What? Okay, so you're just making up a story as you go along?
two pretty huge concerns with Tolkien fans. How in the hell are you going to condense something over thousands of years? And is this going to be woke garbage? Does it take place 1,000 years or thousands of years before The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings? There is roughly 3,500 years in the Second Age, and this series apparently wants to cover all of it.
1,000 years in one series. How's that accomplished?
Including Isildur, who was born 1,500 years after the forging of the Rings of Power, who Amazon decided to give a sister because the one thing the Tolkien legendarium lacked was characters. It only has about 750 of them. Yes, you heard me.
What? A sister? Okay. So what are they gonna do? Are they gonna do the Game of Thrones thing and have them bumping uglies?
Me right, Amazon is creating original characters, including a possible brother for Galadriel, who ends up leading a pack of orcs. Then there's that one production still that Amazon shared that makes things even more confusing. This is from Esquire. The image contains a major clue: two glowing trees spotted in the distance. These trees are likely Telperion and Laureline, also known as the two trees of the Valinor. Well, back in the day in Middle-earth, it used to be flat, and originally it was lit by two lamps, then two trees, then they were destroyed by Melkor, later to be called Morgoth. The trees were destroyed.
Thank you for the explanations, Gary. This is very helpful for some of us who are not Lord of the Rings aficionados.
After the ending of the war for the Silmarils, that's right, a war over more jewelry. So God Iluvatar had to create the sun and the moon, and Middle-earth wasn't round until the fall of Numenor, which apparently is supposed to be in this show as well. When Amazon originally bought the rights, it was reported there were rules. The Tolkien estate had veto power, and I'm guessing Christopher used it quite a bit. But now,
okay, so apparently they have veto power, but you know what? After Christopher died, the Tolkien estate has been going very woke lately. Just saying that.
Now that he's gone, I'm guessing the rest of the heirs are just counting the money. Back when Tom Shippey was still somewhat involved in the project, he was asked, so does Amazon have free reign in the interpretation? Amazon has a relatively free hand when it comes to adding something since, as I said, very few details are known about this time span. The Tolkien estate will insist that the main shape of the Second Age is not altered. Sauron invades Eredor, is forced back by a Númenórean expedition, is returned to Númenor. There he corrupts the Númenóreans and seduces them to break their ban of the Valar. All this.
Okay, so what is the plan here?
The course of history must remain the same, but you can add new characters and ask a lot of questions like, what was Sauron doing in the meantime? Where was he after Morgoth was defeated? Theoretically, Amazon can answer these questions by inventing the answers, since Tolkien did not describe it. But it must not contradict anything which Tolkien did say. That's what Amazon has to watch out for. It must be canonical. It is impossible to change the boundaries which Tolkien has created. It is necessary to remain Tolkienian. As far as a Isildur having a sister,
really, Amazon's gonna go woke with this thing. Believe you me.
Which is an original character, and Galadriel having a brother, which is an original character. Those are just rumors from scoopers. There's also rumors that Galadriel's not only going to be the star of the show, she's going to be all over the place, including events she was never intended to be in. Here lies the problem, the gray areas. Shippey said that Amazon can't go against anything Tolkien wrote, but what
I don't know.
About the things he wasn't specific on? Or what about the things he didn't say, but we all know what he really meant? Amazon's going to use those gray areas to what I'm betting they're going to call favorably interpret, but I will call manipulate Tolkien's words to fit in modernity. For instance, Lenny Henry recently came out and confirmed there's going to be black hobbits.
Black hobbits. Did you hear that correctly? Black hobbits. Okay.
Peter Jackson, he only wanted to use them light-skinned hobbits. He won't have nothing to do with us darker-skinned hobbits. I mean, I'm the only brother in the Shire.
Actor Lenny Henry confirms radical changes to hobbits in Amazon's The Lord of the Rings series. Not only radical changes to the hobbits, radical changes to the Second Age. I'm a black hobbit. It's brilliant. Henry continued.
Wow.
And what's notable about the run of the book, it's a prequel to the age that we've seen in the films and in the books. It's about the early days of the Shire. Aside from the
Hobbit lives matter.
The fact that hobbits weren't mentioned in the Second Age, there was no Shire either. Maybe he misspoke, not really sure. It's the early days of it, so we're an indigenous population of Harfoots. We're hobbits, but we're called Harfoots, and we're multicultural. We're a tribe. We're not a race. So there are black, Asian, and brown, and even Maori types within it. So there's three types of hobbits: Harfoots, Stores, and Fallowhides. And I do believe it was the Harfoots where Tolkien mentioned they were a bit browner of skin. So apparently they're
okay, so it does
indigenous, although
it does fit within Tolkien's storyline. I don't know where Gary's going with this, but okay.
Hobbits aren't indigenous to the Shire. They live there, but they aren't from there. They're also not a race, but they're multicultural. And I want to remind you that Tolkien thought about stuff like this.
He was creating a history.
Thank you. He wasn't dumb. He knew what he was going to deal with later on. Now, how would he have to deal with the woke stuff?
A myth, a mythology for England, he called it. And that involved not just the story, it involved geography, cartography, geology, ethnography, any other ography you like. He had to do it all, and he did.
Studios love to release stuff early when they know something is good, and they tend to not release stuff early when they know something is a giant turd, and I think that's the case with Lord of the Rings. And I think Lenny Henry let the cat out of the bag, and that explains why we haven't gotten that many production photos or any trailers until now. And no, I'm
And I happen to agree with Gary on that one.
not going to give it the benefit of the doubt because unfortunately I've seen everything from Hollywood in the last few years, and Lenny Henry just confirmed all of our biggest concerns for this show. I think it's far more likely we're going to get a Lord of the Rings that looks like this meme that Jeremy from the Quartering posted today. I am Aragorn, son of Arathorn. I will claim the throne and save my people. I'm like Tanya, Aragorn's daughter. My pronouns are she, them. We must fight the Gondorian nationalists.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Not going to be surprised at all to see diverse elves, inclusive dwarves, representative hobbits, an all-female legion of Numenorean warriors led by the warrior Galadriel in full body armor, cutting through orcs and goblins like they're butter. And we'll finally get the answer to the question that scholars, including Tom Shippey, have been asking for decades. What are Sauron's pronouns? And I guess there's another question. When exactly was the Middle-earth genocide? In all seriousness, what's this a prequel to? The books, the Peter Jackson films, or possibly a potential remake of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings on Amazon? Anything is possible. Like I said in past videos, I want this to be the greatest show ever made. I want to cover something good. It will be far.
And in all truthfulness, I hate to burst your bubble, Gary, but it may become a piece of woke garbage here.
More beneficial for my channel and fandom. The things that we love, the things that we've made worth billions of dollars are just trophies to these giant corporations, and that makes them very easy for creator activists to infiltrate and turn them into their own personal political platform. Tolkien fans,
Not surprising. Lord of the Rings fans will know how Star Wars and Star Trek fans and a few other fans of different genres feel at this point.
are going to know what it's like to be a Star Wars fan, a Star Trek fan, a Doctor Who fan, or currently an MCU fan. And
just as Gary said, I agree with Gary here.
Be ready for all of the pejoratives and don't worry about them at all. Like I said with my Doctor Who coverage, wanting an established male character to remain that way doesn't make you a sexist. It makes you a fan of Doctor Who, and not wanting any modern politics or modern messaging to go into anything Lord of the Rings doesn't make you anything other than a fan of Tolkien. So is Lord of the Rings going to be woke? Well, I think I already know the answer, but I guess we'll find out when the trailer drops. And
I hate to tell Gary, but I know his answer. It is. So
when we get that confirmation,
We come to it at last. The great battle of our time.
Nerderotic.com. Please subscribe.
If you want to check out Nerderotic, subscribe to his channel. So yeah. So subscribe to his channel. But mainly, the thing I want to say here is if you're wanting to watch this show, and most likely you're a Christian, and that's what the Lord of the Rings, the creator of Lord of the Rings, was dealing with. He was best friends with C.S. Lewis, who thought very highly of Christendom. Lion Witch in the Wardrobe was an analogy to Christ and everything like that. But if you want to watch this show and try to avoid the iffy stuff, I would suggest I'm loading up the site right here, VidAngel. They pretty much have a connection to Amazon. So if you want, yeah, let me load up the VidAngel link here. Sorry. That didn't work for me. Hold on a sec. Here we go. Now I'm going to share. Okay, see this? This pretty much you don't like them having a nude gay sex scene in the new Lord of the Rings series. You can edit it out while you're watching it. Yes, they can remove immodesty, anything, language, everything. I don't know if they can edit out wokeness, but we shall see. But as you can tell, it is a filter, and it connects to all those streaming services right there, like Apple TV Plus, Netflix, and Amazon Prime Video. And then the other 6 choices are through Amazon. So if you want to see Showtime through Amazon and edit out some Showtime show you want to watch, there you go. Stars through Amazon, you have to have Amazon. Paramount Plus, you have to have Amazon. You have to have it through Amazon if you want to. Paramount Plus, if you want to watch the Star Trek series, which is extremely woke, and TVMA, you can edit out the content too in there. So, yeah. That might help you out. It might be an extra bit of money to do it, but at this point, I kind of feel like, wow, okay. So, moving on. This is our next story, which is very, very interesting. Let me load it up. So apparently, J.J. Abrams in Star Wars The Force Awakens wanted to eliminate the planet of Corisant. Yes, that is correct. But Lucasfilm luckily prevented him from doing that. Now, we all know how screwed up JJ is. And, it's not a surprising move. This JJ did something to Vulcan in Star Trek. The first Star Trek movie, he pretty much decimated Vulcan. So JJ thought he could do the same with Star Wars. Luckily enough, Lucasfilm prevented him from doing that. So we have this video from Ryan with RK Outpost, who explains this whole thing.
Over the past few years, J.J. Abrams has been absolutely raked over the coals for all of the decisions that he made with Star Wars. Now, of course, Rian Johnson gets...
I am not surprised.
It's a lot of heat for The Last Jedi, but his time is...
and I do not like Rian Johnson just as much as I'm a little upset at J.J. Abrams.
On. Not only was Rise of Skywalker an absolute abomination, but people look back at Force Awakens and realize, like so many of us, myself included, did when it happened, that it is just a shell of a movie. It's nothing.
And the idiot killed Han Solo, of all things.
It is bland. It is bad. It destroys other characters, such as Han Solo. But recently, thanks to Pablo Hidalgo and a now deleted tweet, something has been revealed about J.J. Abrams and what he wanted to do with Star Wars.
Not surprising. Pablo Hidalgo, of all people.
Star Wars. Take a look. J.J. Abrams' company, J.J. Abrams disagreed with Lucasfilm on major Star Wars Force Awakens scene. Luke Skywalker once said, "No one's ever really gone." And that couldn't be more true in terms of the controversy surrounding Disney's Star Wars sequel trilogy. In the years following J.J. Abrams' Rise of Skywalker, fan opinions yet to improve amidst a steady stream of reveals about the trilogy's uncoordinated production. And even though live-action Star Wars found new life through Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett,
Ryan, I know you don't like Book of Boba Fett. I'm kind of cool with it now. I'm not upset with it. There's some things I didn't like, but it's not woke. So that's just my opinion of it. But moving on.
Missions about The Last Jedi's Rian Johnson's lack of interest in Snoke and Rey's continuously changing parentage have continued to make news and confirmed what fans suspected all along. Lucasfilm's Pablo Hidalgo explains a Force Awakens decision.
Yes, Pablo Hidalgo.
When Lucasfilm executive Pablo Hidalgo was asked on Twitter about Hosnian Prime serving as the galaxy's capital in The Force Awakens, as opposed to the prequel trilogy's Coruscant, Hidalgo explained the decision was the unsatisfying middle ground between two studio opinions.
So Hosnian Prime was used as a replacement for Coruscant. Now think of this. J.J. Abrams wanted to eliminate the planet where the Empire began and everything like that. The major planet where we see Anakin meet with the Jedi in episode 1. And that little interesting adventure chase scene in episode 2, which took place in Coruscant, as they're trying to save Padme from being attacked by some buddy who's trying to kill her. I'm sorry to say it, but JJ, you messed up.
Basically, Bad Robot, so J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot, wanted it blown up. Lucasfilm didn't. Hosnian Prime was the unsatisfying middle ground. It happens. So think about.
And let's think about this. Was the name Hosnian Prime ever mentioned when the planet was blown up? No. People had to look it up to know that it was Hosnian Prime and not Coruscant.
Think about this for a second. J.J. Abrams wanted to come in and blow up Coruscant. Because everything's got to be bigger. We need a bigger Star Destroyer. It's got to be Star Killer Base now that can destroy things from across the galaxy. And it needs to be Coruscant, the biggest, most populated planet, the most important planet in the galaxy. That's what we need to blow up.
Yeah, I understand, Ryan. I understand your frustration.
Lucasfilm said, no, you can't blow up Coruscant. So what did these guys do? Instead, they invented a star system so they could blow it up and pretend that the capital was there. That's how they made this. That's how they crafted Disney Star Wars. And then they had to write backstory for why out of nowhere.
Yep. Of course, as I said, the normies who went and saw Force Awakens were asking tons of questions. Was that planet that they destroyed Coruscant? Oh, Lucasfilm had to put on their website, oh, this was Hosnian Prime. No way that it was Coruscant.
Hosnian Prime, a planet that no one ever heard of, that no one knew who this was, ends up as the seat of the capital for the Republic. How stupid. The very fact that they decided to go into Force Awakens and just retell the same story. What they should have been doing was they should have told a story about the New Republic actually being in charge and having to deal with the remnants of the Empire. That's what it should have been about Luke Skywalker and his Jedi Academy. Maybe some.
Yep. And they could have brought along Mara Jade, but they didn't want to do Mara Jade. They wanted to screw the story up, make Luke Skywalker look like an idiot, kill off Han Solo, and make the First Order this big bad evil thing that turns out to be a planned thing by an Emperor Palpatine who's still alive on some Sith planet.
Struggles he's having, something like that, trying to flesh out the remnants of the Empire, whatever it may be. But you should have been talking about the New Republic. Instead, what you did was this nonsensical thing. Create a First Order, which is basically just the Empire, who has enough resources to turn an entire planet, an important planet nonetheless, into a huge galaxy, well, not galaxy, but, planetary system.
Yeah. I know how you feel, Ryan. Go ahead. Get angry.
Destroying planet. That's what Starkiller Base is. These people lack any creativity whatsoever. And so then when they're dead set on controlling a massive planet, they make one up and then have to write a bunch of backstory in Disney Star Wars canon to make it fit. How stupid.
I'm not surprised, Ryan. I'm not surprised. It's not a surprising move, in my opinion.
How stupid. Hidalgo later circles back, clarifying his comments, saying, I should say some folks, because it's not like companies have points of view. And in fact, he has deleted that.
Yes, he deleted the tweet. Of all things to do, he deleted the tweet.
He deleted it. Someone replies, don't take this the wrong way, but wouldn't have been better and made more sense for it to have been Coruscant. It was a planet we knew, and one of the big criticisms was we didn't have an attachment to Hosnian. Seems like the film suffered from this oversight.
No duh!
It would have been better without the Star Killer at all, but that's a whole nother discussion. But I think Coruscant being in development in other projects was a big reason for this. And it's funny because Pablo in this thread kind of bashes Disney Star Wars in general.
I'm wondering if the guy is even going to be employed by Disney anymore, or Lucasfilm for that matter.
Someone says, how bananas will it be if we end up spending more of the Boba Fett show on Tatooine than the Obi-Wan show? Pablo says, I'll take Tatooine over Diet Tatooine, Jakku, and Pisana. Like,
what the...
He's kind of hammering the sequel trilogy. Not returning to Coruscant in any sequels was a crime instead of inventing Diet Coruscant. 100% agree. And there's still some people that don't even understand it wasn't Coruscant.
What the heck? What the heck?
God.
I know how you feel, Ryan. I know how you feel, buddy. I know how you feel.
Disney Star Wars is so terrible. Again, he says, like Coruscant is Berlin, they want to take it back, not destroy it. Exactly. Star Wars is
okay.
Being made by people that don't know what they're fucking doing. J.J. Abrams is a complete and total hack. And once again, he's being exposed for it.
J.J. Abrams is an idiot. You know, I liked Star Trek, the first one. But, you know, at this point, after what he did to Star Wars, I don't know if I like Star Trek's.
The Force Awakens was not a good movie. That was very clear in December of 2015. Took some people a long time to realize that.
You killed Han Solo.
But that's the bottom line. This entire sequel trilogy was built on nothing. It was built on sand.
Yep, it was. There was no plan. There was nothing. It was just political garbage that Kathy Kennedy shoved down our throats, and Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams didn't know what to do with the story at all.
It was a shell. There was no substance to it at all. And J.J. Abrams failed in every single way. Rian Johnson just went a different way than he expected, but it wouldn't have been any better if J.J. Abrams had done the second.
Yeah. Rian Johnson made Luke Skywalker throw his lightsaber away and make him look like a complete idiot.
One, it would have been more coherent, but it wouldn't have been any better. Disney Star Wars is pathetic. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Okay, now, if you're gonna, if you have a chance, visit, subscribe to RK Outpost. All I'm gonna say is after episode 5 of the Book of Boba Fett, which I saw yesterday, I'm gonna say this. Pretty much that whole thing, in my opinion, redeemed episode 5 is redeeming um uh episode 5 of Book of Boba Fett is redeeming the screw up that JJ and Ryan Johnson did. Now some of us here might be like, well, um uh Gina Carano was fired, and I can't forgive Disney for that. Luckily, I do not like Disney for doing that. But they still got to continue on the story whether we like it or not. You know, I don't know what to say about it, but I might you'll probably see my reaction to episode 5 of Book of Boba Fett on my friends at EBN channel. I'll do a pop-in on there, and I'll say how I feel about that episode. But as I was saying, I hope that John Favreau and Dave Filoni try to save Star Wars. But after the Gina Carano thing, some people in the fandom menace aren't holding their breath. Okay, now for our next story. Now, you all remember the whole thing with Frosk and the sexism in Gaming Rat on G4. Now, we're going to go back to this whole thing. You know, I've kind of, as I said in my last few videos, I pretty much removed myself from G4. But there's some interesting stories that are going on with that. And let me just go into my post on this. There's also an update to everything that's going on with this Frosk issue. So I will include that update in this. But pretty much based on 2 videos that I've been watching, one from Midnight's Edge and one from Clownfish TV. Pretty much Frost kind of affected G4 in a way that it shouldn't do. Also, I think surprisingly that based on what Clownfish TV is saying, that it may return us back to Gamergate, which I remember, or GG as it's called. I might get, for saying the GG word, I might get this I might get suspended for a week, but still. Anyways, here is the first video from Midnight's Edge. Let's play it.
A couple of weeks ago, few knew that the iconic G4 TV was back, already long since relaunched for a new generation, right here on YouTube.
The only difference in that is they also have a cable channel where they this is the problem with the some of us here on YouTube that are talking about this, like the Geeks and Gamers channel and Midnight's Edge and everything. They don't realize that all that stuff that's played on YouTube and Twitch is played the next day on the cable network. But moving on.
If nothing else, Froskurin was the public face of enhancing awareness of that, as now everyone knows. However, as corporate owner Comcast has painfully come to learn in the past couple of weeks, not all publicity is good publicity.
Now, the truth on that is, this is not NBC Universal running the show. This is a division of Comcast that's running their esports team in Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Fusion. So, while NBC would be throwing more money at this, Comcast Spectacor has a lot of money, but still, they're a smaller entity within Comcast.
Froskurin and the team of writers and producers behind her, half of which she'll have you know are women, may inadvertently have revealed that the Emperor has no clothes.
And all truthfulness, that would be true.
And that G4 TV no longer has a place. I'll begin this editorial by establishing some context, by ever so briefly going through the G4 TV revival, before exploring Froskurin's screwing up, doubling down, and then tripling down, and what her meltdowns have actually achieved for G4 TV.
Now, if you've watched my last few videos on this, I am a 100% was part of the original G4. If you were on the old G4 forums, I was known as G4 Ray J99. Okay. And I had a podcast called Attack of the Forums. I am a super fan. I was a super fan of G4 till this Frosk thing went down.
Back in the days of yore, there was no YouTube or any other real opportunities to broadcast yourself.
Which is, of course, correct. When G4 came around, there was no YouTube, in fact. Midway through when G4 came along, there was YouTube, but YouTube was not owned by Google, of course.
Fans, whether it be of movies, series, comics, games, or anything else, did not have a whole slew of content creators to provide information, entertainment, and honest takes like today. Instead, fans were at the mercy of what product establishment broadcasters saw fit to invest in and put out there.
And of course, that later, what he's talking about also led to cord cutting, which today is very, very lucrative right now.
This is where G4 entered the picture. The Comcast-owned channel was launched in 2002 and was envisioned as MTV, but for
He's got that right.
Video games, targeting young adult audiences. The channel was fairly successful for a good number of years, and
yep, it was.
Their original programs, X-Play and Attack of the Show, were quite popular with audiences.
Of course it was, and it was.
As most of you will know, our good friend Chris Gore was one of the hosts. And
yes, and he was. He did this show called DV Tuesday where he was really, if you ever watch his reaction, he's even doing a documentary on G4. But yeah, moving on.
An occasional co-host specializing in film coverage, a subject matter on which he is an expert. But all of G4's programming was highly produced, and that came at an equally high cost.
Correct. Correct.
As the years went, YouTube increasingly became a force to be reckoned with, and if there ever was a channel that was subject to competition from independent content creators on YouTube, it was G4.
Correct.
There were more factors, of course, but that one certainly did not help. Ratings started to slip, which meant less advertising revenue, which meant they had to cut back on original programming.
Yes, and they did. To this day, nobody can forget the Cops reruns. Oh my gosh.
But that was what drove audiences in the first place. So then the ratings slipped even more, and then the advertising revenue fell even more, and, well, yeah, you see where it's going.
Yep, it became Esquire Network, which became pointless.
Some corporate back and forth, the plug was pulled on G4, roughly 1 decade after its launch. It was inevitable. Over the course of its run, the marketplace had changed, and time had simply ran out for the kind of product a network endeavor like G4 could offer. But
correct.
Fast forward yet another decade, and the inexplicable decision was made to bring it back.
Now, as he talks about this, I was, from day one of the announcement of the revival, I was gung-ho about being part of it. I went with it until the Frosk situation.
After sinking untold millions upon millions of dollars into the revival, G4 was brought back in November of 2020.
Let's not forget, this was not NBC Universal who did this. This was another division of Comcast, which, as I said, does not have the backing, the financial, as good financial backing as one NBC Universal.
Now with live streaming on Twitch and YouTube. Kevin Pereira and Adam Sessler returned as hosts, alongside a number of newcomers, one of them being Indiana Black, who is also known as Froskurinn, which is Icelandic for frog.
Yeah, correct. I thought it was Icelandic for rat, but still, it is correct.
Sometimes that is shortened to Frosk, which is Norwegian for frog. But whatever she is called, no one cared about the revival or who was in it. Well, to be fair, I'm sure some must have cared, but on the whole, not many, because the relaunch made 0 waves. Case in point, the G4 YouTube channel, which was launched in 2006 during the height of the original run, has nearly 500,000 subscribers. But the overwhelming majority of them are dormant, as most of their post-relaunch videos only get from 5 to 10% of that number in views.
And I was watching it for a while, and then I cut off at a point.
In fact, the whole revival went completely under the radar until it was decided that Froskurinn should attack the audience. Here it should be noted that even before her on-stream meltdown, Froskurinn was already getting a lot of flack. Not for being a female, but for failing to be sufficiently informed about a number of subject matters she nonetheless had strong opinions about, and for being overtly partisan in her gaming console preferences, to the point where it was detrimental to the show at large.
Yes, in fact, she was playing Xbox, but on her computer, and she was trying to buy a PS5 with no luck after the launch. She didn't get it till January, or at the end of December. She didn't get her PS5 until the end of December.
This is, however, in keeping with her character. While Froskurinn is somewhat prominent figure within the world of esports, Her background from there is as a colored commentator, meaning she makes silly voices and stupid jokes to fill in the dead air, when the actual competent commentators were waiting for something to happen that they could make informed commentary about.
Yes, and that's just like sports. Esports commentary is just like sports commentary, which is just like wrestling commentary, which you get it.
In short, while Froskurin did get flack, she did so primarily because of her habit of expressing strong opinions on matters where she wasn't fully qualified to have one. The flack she got over that may have precipitated her rant in the January 11th livestream, where she out of the blue transitioned from Red Dead Online to a much more important topic, namely sexism in gaming. You've
Not surprising.
all seen the rant by now. In it, any and all criticism against her is dismissed as sexist.
And funnily, a super fan of G4 like me shut it off and unsubscribed to their YouTube and their Twitch. And I don't watch it anymore. Let's move on.
Because, and these are her own words, she isn't as bangable as previous hosts. That,
So what?
by the way, is throwing some heavy shade at the previous hosts, because she just dismissed everything they brought to the table. Nevertheless, her co-hosts cheered her on, as she described some weird parallel universe in which
it has somehow been expected that you can talk about how much you jerked off to women as a compliment. It's not a compliment. It's weird.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
I don't know what world she and the rest of the current G4 crew reside in, but it's clearly not the same as the one the rest of us inhabit. In the rant, which was at the very least in part scripted, and certainly cleared with producers
Written by Adam Sessler, mind you,
in advance, Froskurin chided every single male audience member watching for being a disgusting sexist. In
the F-Men narrative.
accordance with the Ghostbusters 2016 playbook on how to handle criticism.
The F-Men narrative.
But on the plus side, her rant did go viral, and in the process, significant awareness was raised that G4 is indeed back. So in that sense, great success. But did that increased awareness translate into increased viewership for G4 TV? Well, Froskurin's final recommendation and parting words to all existing and potential new audiences should give a hint.
If you don't like it, don't watch it.
And that's what I did. Thank you, Frost, for giving me a decision.
That sounds familiar. Where have I heard a spiel like that before?
And if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book.
Okay, I won't buy your book. I'll burn it.
Problem solved.
Lo and behold, Froskurin's rant did actually translate to increased views. For everyone else, that is.
And guess what? Geeks and Gamers got a lot of viewers.
Videos reacting to and pointing out how insane her rant actually was. It didn't do much for G4 TV, save losing them 6,000 subscribers and counting in the past couple
including me.
Of weeks. That shouldn't be a big deal to a YouTube channel that on paper has nearly 500,000 subscribers. But it is in practice, when most of their videos only get a few tens of thousands of views each. In the aftermath, G4 TV skipped out on a couple of scheduled live streams. And every
Wow! Hello!
subsequent video has been ratioed to oblivion. Public comments have gotten so bad that despite them deleting them like crazy on YouTube and severely restricting comments in Reddit and other fora.
Yeah, that's what happened. I saw it. Luckily, I removed myself from the Reddit group on the Reddit subreddit, on the G4 subreddit on Reddit, and the G4 Discord. Oh, man, and I know some mods that were part of that and let it happen. I'm not going to name names, but they know who they are.
It does look as though the whole stunt kind of blew up in G4's face. Still, it worked out for Froskerin herself though. When doubling down on Twitter, she gleefully pointed out how she had increased her personal income because of the rant.
You're not gonna make money from Twitter.
So I'm guessing she must get a cut of the video's commercial revenue? More recently, she tripled down, this time on Reddit, where she asserted that her critics were alt-right trolls who projected their own insecurities upon her. Which is rich, coming from someone who has gone public about being diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, as one of the symptoms of that is projection.
And as someone with autism, I don't blame her for that. But she could have backed off on the whole F-men thing. But whatever.
Not content with that, she also recommended that one particularly rational and articulate critic, whose arguments she failed to counter, should go read some feminist literature. Froskerin does.
Now, feminist literature, no one reads that.
Of course, receive much support and praise from those who already agree with her, but I very much doubt that ultimate bill payer Comcast is too pleased about how all of this played out. They are the ones footing the bill for the G4 revival.
And it's not, as I said, it is not NBC Universal. Now, I'm going to play the video from Clownfish TV. They say that it's NBC Universal's. They might slightly be involved, but they're not fully involved. That is Comcast Spectacor that is involved.
And the millions they flush down the toilet on that, they won't be getting back. Gina Carano once said, "Don't try to ruin my life with lies, when your life can be ruined with the truth."
And Gina Carano has become the face of the anti-woke movement.
That stuck with me, as it is rather profound, and on the whole applicable to this situation. Some of Froskerin's more out-there attacks on the audience were so far out that no one can possibly take them seriously. But what was really damning was when she revealed the truth about G4.
Now, here at XPlay, our reviews are written and produced by a team of people. There are too many games for one person to shoulder the...
Correct. Which as stated, they read a prompter when they do reviews. It is not done by them themselves. The reviews are written out by someone else for them.
The burden. So we divide and conquer. And when we use language like we or I, that's the reviewer. That's coming from the mouth and experience of the reviewer reading that review. And that's not to say that Gerard, TBH, Adam, or myself don't contribute to the reviews. We absolutely do. But it'll always be in varying degrees and take a whole team behind us.
In other words, she and all the other current batch of hosts are, in some sense, frauds. They are
reviews by committee, which, as Midnight's Edge is going to state in this video, what I do, what everyone else on YouTube does, is more genuine.
Merely talking heads narrating corporate reviews written by a team of writers. The only thing the hosts themselves add are a bit of colored commentary on top. So to anyone wondering why Froskerin was hired in the first place, despite being at best so-so where actual knowledge about the subject matter is concerned, there's your answer. The team of writers will handle the technical stuff like writing actual reviews. From the hosts themselves, a bit of color commentary is all that is required. So she's a perfect fit for the job.
That's why we're X-Play and not Atom Play. We have done the experiment and controlled for the variables. Adam will read a script written by the same writer that I will read the other half of the script for, but I'll be the one flamed.
Well, I guess
Whatever.
it could be that the audience is just less responsive to her colored commentary than his. But that aside, I don't know what this Adam is clapping so profoundly for here.
Adam Sessler is an idiot. He's shown his colors the moment Gamergate happened. His true colors came out the moment Gamergate happened, and he blocked people that were pro Gamergate.
Because Frosk just exposed him. No, I'm not talking about how he allegedly wishes death upon his own family.
Which is true. He's been saying that on Twitter. This whole thing is basically paraded Adam Sessler out before everyone.
Family members who lean conservative. Or how he has a history of making some pretty creepy remarks. Honestly, this guy is quite the piece of work too. What
He's an idiot.
Froskurin exposed about him, though, is that by implication, he is as uninformed about the subject matter at hand as she is, as he is reading the same script as her.
He's just a robot.
In other words, why should she be the only one to be flamed when he is no better? And that's actually a pretty fair point. So, if
Correct.
You liked Adam and the rest of the team's reviews before, will you, now that you know how staged they are, be able...
No, I will not. And I want to see what happens with this update that I've got that I will report on this show later on this whole thing. But let's continue.
To watch them the same way again. In her rant about how there is just too many games out there for the host to handle without a whole team of writers behind them doing it for them, Froskurin forgot about one little inconvenient detail. There's a whole slew of independent YouTube gaming channels and Twitch streamers that manage to do that just fine. All while...
Correct. They're reviewing old games right now. That was their problem since launch, because they felt that the best thing to do was review older games that X-Play didn't review because it was off the air. But that's so. And the problem with that is YouTube, there's too many genuines on YouTube right now, and cord cutting's a thing, and YouTube is part of that cord cutting. So we got a bit of a problem.
Doing the required research,
or at least G4 has a bit of a problem. Moving on.
To perform informed analysis and breakdowns of the most recent games and developments within the gaming industry, and they do it all without getting a paycheck from Comcast for their trouble. What Froskurin really did here was confirm to everyone that G4 TV, in its current form, is a relic of a bygone era.
Correct.
One that there honestly is no place for and no consumer demand for in the current marketplace. Everything G4 TV does, hundreds or even thousands of independent gaming channels can do better and more sincere. And they don't need a multi-million-dollar set that should have been left in the early 90s to do it. And here's the kicker. That's why G4 TV failed in the first place a decade ago. And the marketplace isn't any better for something like G4 now. If anything, it's even worse. So why bring it back at all? To be clear, I don't know Comcast's strategy on the matter, but...
Why did they bring it back? Because of superfans like me, who wanted it back. But, as I said, Frosk ruin that?
I would imagine that they imagined that in a landscape dominated by indie free thinkers, advertisers would be all in on a corporate channel devoted to gaming, one that would give the right kind of corporate reviews. And
Correct, but I have a disagreement with Midnight's Edge here. G4 had fans that wanted it back, wanted the TV end of video gaming back that G4 had. Now, Frosk may have ruined that with some people like me, but there are a few people out there that are pro-woke that don't care.
And express advertiser and establishment-friendly opinions and hot takes only. It was a gamble, to be sure, but if they were able to use nostalgia as a means to bring back G4 in a big way, then advertisers could have made that a very
And that's what it was, nostalgia. The Midnight's Edge is correct in this part.
profitable endeavor for Comcast. But in order for the advertisers to come, the audience has to be there. And prior to Froskurin's rant, the audience mostly weren't even aware that G4 was back.
They weren't aware, of course. Unless you were a super fan like me.
To Froskurin, they now know. But they also know it's a relic that was displaced by YouTube and Twitch a decade ago. And so...
And they have a whole bunch of woke people running the show, which screwed them over, screwed the relaunch over.
There is very little reason to check it out. On top of that, they now know it's run by talking heads who are crazy activists, which further diminishes what little reason...
Correct. And in fact, the very people running the network are a bunch of activists.
To check it out there was in the first place. And that's the thing. Froskurin didn't do anything but speed up a demise that was coming with or without her anyway. Because unless Comcast found a hitherto unknown way of monetizing it, then between first and foremost the outdated concept, Froskurin's meltdowns and Adam's hatred of half the audience, they're not getting the money they sunk into this back again. So, how long will they keep throwing good money after bad? Let me know.
My answer is maybe what the update is about on this story that I'm going to talk about tonight may help the network, but as I said, I think they lost it the moment they hired a bunch of people as their writers who are a bunch of Anita Sarkeesians. And I actually believe that it might get to the point where Anita Sarkeesian will get her own show on the network, whether the fans like it or not.
Know what you think in the comments.
Okay, well, that is from Midnight's Edge. So if you get a chance, subscribe to their channel. Okay, well, I was going to play the video from Clownfish TV, but I think I've been on here too long. But what Clownfish TV was explaining in their video was that Frosk had deleted her Twitter and she was trying to talk to YouTubers. I'll have an update on that later when I bring up the update. But the whole thing with that was that Neon said that this could be reviving Gamergate, which in my opinion, I would not be surprised that that's part of what this was. But let's move on and talk about the update that I was going to provide at the very first of this episode. So, as I said, um, Frosk decided she wanted to interview YouTubers that were criticizing her rant. Now, several of those YouTubers said that the email wasn't working or any way to contact her wasn't working. Well, the quartering, who happened to have a nice little chat with the writer of the Witcher series on Twitter, says that he was able to get an interview with Frosk. So let me play that video for you and let you guys see. I didn't report this on my blog because it was very late to when I was starting this show for him to say this, but apparently he was able to get an interview with Frosk. Now, I'm hoping this works out, because if it doesn't, G4 is dead.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and I've got some good news. If you followed really the budding love between myself and Laura Hisrich, the showrunner for The Witcher, I've been able to reach across the aisle a couple of times here in the past week or two, and
actually, I believe that Jeremy is a very, very nice guy, and he is not going to be like Geeks and Gamers, who even though I like Geeks and Gamers, if Frosk were to go on their show, they probably would ridicule her up and down, because both Ryan and Jeremy there like to ridicule people. But let's move on.
That's good, because when you talk with people, you kind of realize that you're not actually reaching across the aisle, that most people agree on most things, and it comes down to a few things we disagree on. And
correct. And I feel the Quartering is very, very a very nice guy, and I would be okay with this interview, and I hope Frosk agrees to it fully.
I covered on this channel at length my disagreements with G4 TV host Froskiran looking like basically bad mouthing the viewers because of a few bad comments, throwing out the baby with the bathwater, so to speak. And it was a fun meme for a couple of weeks, and everyone got their content in. It was good. G4 got a bunch of Twitter followers. They lost.
Of course, I turned off Twitter because of this rant, but I'm hoping Jeremy can do something.
Lost a bunch of YouTube subscribers, but more importantly, I have some good news, it looks like, and looks like a discussion is going to be happening between Froskiran and myself, and so I'll hold back any further criticism or any rehashing of my existing criticism. I think she understands exactly where I stand, and
in all truthfulness, I think Quartering is a very honest guy, and I don't see him being rude to her in the interview. I actually see him being nice.
I want to give her an opportunity to explain where she stands, and I have a feeling we're going to agree. I've always, in all of my videos, said that I believe people make inappropriate comments about really everybody online, men and women, and she also said that very same thing. So my problem is really just kind of the tutting down your nose and yelling at everybody watching as if they're all participating in it. I think that was a misstep, and I hope she'll agree on that. And then maybe she'll get me to agree on a few things. It'll be interesting. So look for that.
And that's the way Glenn Beck has been trying to push. Of course, he won't negotiate with commies, but still, at least he'll talk. He's willing to talk to people.
Interview to hopefully happen by the end of this week. It looks like I'm talking to her agents, and we'll set that up, because it started out yesterday, where she wrote, to all these drama farming YouTubers, you can always reach out to my agent if you'd like to schedule a discussion. And by the way, you know, I will remind people, she has extended the olive branch. She unblocked me on Twitter. And so I would ask, you don't have to, obviously, I don't control you, but I would ask that we give her a chance to speak, because so precious few people whom, you know, kind of get in this, that have her opinions about things, ever want to talk to anybody about it.
Correct. And this is the only way to destroy wokeness, in my opinion. We have to meet each other at the middle and sit down and discuss this, instead of just letting it, instead of fighting each other. What is the point in us fighting each other? Someone needs to sit down and negotiate. How are wars won? With negotiation.
And if we make them regret it, then even fewer people will. A lot of people kind of pointed that out when I was talking to Lauren Hisrich.
Correct. And I actually like that Quartering is doing this, that he's talking to the other side and not pushing them away and attacking and attacking and attacking.
There were so many people, nobody on kind of our side of things, but there were a lot of people on the far left that were demanding she stop talking.
Correct. And, you know, why don't they listen to our side too? Both sides need to sit down and negotiate, or we're not going to get along at all.
She stopped the conversation. Why? Because they knew that something like this could happen. At humanizing people, she probably thinks I'm some kind of monster. She probably thinks I think she's some kind of monster. I don't. I think people say things in the heat of the moment, and I'm hoping that, you know, I can try to explain why people reacted the way they did. And I'll give her a chance to explain to me. Maybe it's worse than I thought. Maybe because I couldn't see the chat. So maybe it was all just everybody spamming how she was unattractive or something.
Yes, and I agree with that. We got to look at both sides here instead of just pounding on and pounding on. Yeah, I understand that Jeremy and Ryan want to make clicks for their videos and stuff, but that's not how this is going to work. There's only two ways to end the wokeism altogether. One, negotiate, or two, nuke it. And I don't think nuking it is going to be easy.
Something like that. By the way, again, that's not okay. And in all of my videos, I said that wasn't okay. I just don't like the idea of, you know, yelling at your fans. But there's some other interesting stuff. She wrote, I told my agent to pick the largest of those applied. So maybe somebody bigger than me applied. It's possible. Super excited to get on a call with all these people and watch them backpedal on all their vile trash talk. Saying they wrote a respectful email after some of these videos is wild. They overblow everything for clicks. Well, I think everyone does that. I think we're all kind of guilty of that. I don't think I had any personal attacks. I'm actually, before we talk, I'm going to rewatch my videos and see if I crossed the line anywhere. I don't think I did. I think I've grown a lot. You know, old me would probably have gone too hard.
And actually, based on what I've seen from the Quartering, he's not as vile as some of the others within the Gamergate, Comicsgate, Fandom Menace end of YouTube. So, yeah.
But I don't really talk like that anymore because it's not productive. It's fun to like get hyped and be mean, but it doesn't actually solve anything. And I am interested in talking to people. I'm interested in having her on to have a conversation and find a middle ground. I genuinely am. I'm not interested in gotchas. I'm not interested in making her look bad. I'm not interested in yelling or raising my voice. I just want to have a conversation. This is why I don't think we're going to do it live, because I want to give her an opportunity to.
And don't do it live. I agree. Do not do it live. If you have to edit things out, but be respectful and don't do it live.
Think about her answers and not feel the pressure of chat spamming her, because I care.
Correct. And you know what? I agree with you, Quartering. Go for it. I'm rooting for you, buddy.
Now, if I live stream it, probably make them all out in super chats, but that's not what this is. Unless she requests it be live streamed, I think it'd be better for both of us to just take our time with the topic.
Correct. And like I said, this kind
of in the eye.
This is the only other way to fix this. Either A, we nuke wokeness, which, like I said, is harder than heck, or we try to negotiate and work it out.
Of a lot of people now at G4 under the microscope. The people over at both Ryan Cannell, very interesting, worthwhile YouTuber, worth subscribing. He just passed 100K, so good for him. And Geeks and Gamers, also a good channel worth being subscribed to, have now been kind of bringing forth some other prior bad behavior.
Yes, and I saw these videos. Basically Black Hokage, who was rooting for Frosk during the rant, saying, "You go, Frosk," and stuff like that. He's been seeing a lot of sexist comments on his own videos. But yeah, let's go.
From one of the hosts on the show. And, a lot of these videos are really old. So it's like, I shared a video before seeing the timestamp, and the date stamp on it was like 2012 or something like that, right? So I don't think that that's necessarily fair.
Ads. I hate ads.
This is, but there are videos that are pretty spicy from this guy. If you look at the thumbnails, beautiful.
Yeah, and I saw those thumbnails. Black Hokage, you're going to have to explain this, buddy.
Scantily clad women, big, I couldn't even get that thumbnail approved. There's conversations
correct
about how, women don't swallow unless you tell them to swallow. Here's another one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, there's definitely some objectification happening from the very same guy that was saying, "Talk to him, Frosk. Get him." These videos are like months old, not years old. There's videos of him, him saying that like all white members of the LGBTQ community or the L community, all white members of the L community look like Ellen.
That was a mistake, Black Hokage.
Like, he said that, and like, I don't know, I mean, who cares? I don't even like, I'm not even talking about, that's why I'm not going to play the clips, because like, I don't really care about the things in specific that he said, but dude's sitting right here clapping like a seal, saying talk to him, Frosk, when right here he's talking about how he watches the tub meta on Twitch in the buff.
Yeah. That's the thing. You can't do something like that where you're like, oh, talk to him, Frosk, because people like Jeremy and Ryan Cannell will dig up something on you, which is the truth, because those two, they want something fixed, and when they want something fixed, they're gonna dig up stuff on you.
Yeah, that's how I watch it. I watch it, So, there's a lot of interesting clips of this dude talking about, talking some pretty spicy stuff about women in particular. That, 7 months ago, she busting it wide open on Twitch, arrow pointed right.
Yeah, that one really shocked me. Talk to him, Frosk. Talk to him, Frosk. Really? Now everyone's gonna know Black Hokage is a sexist pig. Okay.
Right there. Like nothing. Hey, whatever gets clicks, my dude, I don't hold it against you. Dead serious. But like, were you really saying talk to him, Frosk, when and you should watch this video by Geeks and Gamers and then Ryan Cannell too.
Yeah.
Because it's not exactly like the call's coming from inside the house. Then Yellow Flash, another really good channel here, talked about she challenges everyone to a debate but gives out fake contact info. Maybe a lot of people said that it was fake. You see team invite booking. She said she'd be willing to. This is his email.
In all truthfulness, I don't know what to say. I actually think quartering got a good move, made the good move, and I hope it's quartering that changes this.
Here's Vito original message bouncing back, which is funny. I don't think it was intentional because the email I got worked, and I talked to her bookers. So I mean, I don't know if they it was a copy paste issue or something like that, or she
and the courting is a very honest guy, so I kind of believe him.
Meant to do that. I don't know, but again, I'm saving my criticisms of that for when I can talk to her directly, so if you have serious questions that you want me to ask, leave them in the comment section down below or email them to me.
I left him a question in the comments section. We'll see what happens.
Because if there are things, I'm not going to ask her about stuff from 10 million years ago. I am going to ask her about the comments about too many white people. I will ask her about that and give her a chance to clarify that. But if we look at G4 now, I mean, their growth is essentially stopped. In fact, they lost 50 followers today.
Correct. And that's the truth. What she did screwed them up. And as I said, they're not being funded by NBC Universal this time around. They're being funded by a small little company, small little end of Comcast that only pays for a hockey team and a Overwatch League team. Think about it.
G4 TV YouTube channel, 2,000, lost 2,000, lost 1,000, lost 1,000, lost 1,000. Here's lost another 1,000. Haven't gained any subscribers in 2 weeks.
They lost me as a subscriber, surprisingly.
G4 TV Twitch got a nice little bump during their giveaway period, and then that's leveled off. They're obviously much bigger on Twitch than they are on YouTube because some of their videos on YouTube here are 589,000 views, and that's just from 5 days ago.
Yeah, they haven't got that many views on YouTube, surprisingly.
So they're doing okay on Twitch. And again, I want G4 TV to succeed. That's why
I agree with the quartering here. I want them to succeed. You know, they may not have me around much to support them all that much, but you know, maybe if they can work this thing out and try to avoid going into my prediction, which is hiring Anita Sarkeesian to do her little show on G4 TV weeknights, we might be good.
I want to have this conversation and I want it to be productive and I don't want to scream back and forth and I'm not looking to own her. I'm happy to issue corrections if I got something wrong. I'm happy to make edits or whatever. As long as she comes in good faith, I will too. And
I actually believe you will come in good faith. I actually believe that this move might save might fix this problem with wokeness and might help us out from dealing with it.
Again, maybe she's referring to other YouTubers, but I didn't feel like I said anything personal. I didn't make any, really any mean-spirited comments that I remember. So hopefully we'll talk today or tomorrow, and it should be interesting. For the rest of G4 TV, there's some digging around that's happening, and
in all truthfulness, this is what Gamergate, Comicsgate, and the Fandom Menace end of YouTube does. They're going to dig around. They're going to dig around and find everything they can to bring that down. That's the way it was with Star Wars. That's the way it was with Star Trek. That's the way it is with everything in this. Because wokeness destroys it all. But let me continue on what...
As usual, people who are the first to, tut down their nose and tell you you're evil and wrong seem to have their own spicy past. So I don't want the guy canceled or fired or anything like that. But I think it's important.
I don't want anyone canceled or fired. I remember what happened to Gina Carano. I don't want anyone canceled or fired, even if I don't agree with them.
Important to point out that, bro, this guy is literally screaming and yelling and agreeing with Frosk, and he's doing the exact same thing. So he seems like a phony. That's how it looks. He looks like a hypocrite. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.
And as I said, with everyone else that I've played their video on here, if you get a chance to check out the quartering on YouTube, check out the quartering. And more than likely, you'll be watching their little stream on there about this whole situation and stuff. Anyways, well, this is Ray J saying it's my world, but we're all living in it. Until next time, see you later.